Well, you've built this really incredible brand, and it stands out in a niche where I think that most firms feel pretty a little stuffy, a little
Yeah.
stiff. And so, like, what's the backstory? How does it that you decided to approach family law and branding and business so differently?
It has been a journey. So when I first started the firm, it was the typical law firm name like everything else. And then I took a leap and decided to rename the firm with just my name. It was just myself at the time, but do all lowercase. And I remember sending it off to get printed, and the printer was like, "Whoa, whoa! Like you're a law firm, you're using all lowercase." And at that point, like that was you don't do that. That's not formal enough. And so I liked to sort of test like what can I do that's going to make the business and what I do stand out. So there's that side of me that is always thinking about like what's the perception that if someone picks up the phone or Google's online, like what are they seeing that's going to make them pick up the phone and call our firm rather than somebody else's firm. And it's like looking for that creative edge, looking to be a little bit different. And I think that's just a through line with everything I've ever done and who I am. It's like, how can I just be a little bit different? And at one point, that actually held me back because it's like you don't want to be too different, right? Because then people talk, and it's like if you're too different, are you going to be taken seriously? And once I sort of dropped that fear thought process behind like different is actually good, it's a catalyst for growth, and it's actually the thing that's really the differentiator. Is when I leaned into it even more, and now looking at it like, okay, what can I do that's even pushing the envelope just a little bit more. And that came back to, it's so funny because in this time and day and age, people are looking for automation, and they're looking to make things easy, and Zoom and virtual and all that. And I thought, I'm like, what if we went back to the roots of what people want, and it's connection. And so we can bring in all the technology and do all of the virtual things, but at the end of the day, especially in a family law practice, people want connection. So it's how can we make our clients feel important, feel like they're our only client, connect with them? What level of service can we offer that they will never get in any other law firm, because we're treating it as if they're walking into a spa or they're walking into some high-end boutique or hotel where there's this attention to detail that they would never expect from a law firm. So we're constantly looking at like, how do we shake things up?
Yeah, it reminds me of the quote by Sally Hogshead, different is better than better.
Yeah.
It's more of her catchphrase at this point. I don't even call it a quote. It's really a catchphrase. And all you have to do is you look at your I've got your website over here. Happy Even After Family Law is a pretty incredible name. It's really great because it hits the nail on the head. And I wonder what was the process for coming up with that name? Is it something that just hit you, or did you hire a firm to go through that process? I'm just really curious how you came up with that name.
So it first started as a podcast, and we were Bauer Law Group. That was like, typical law firm name. And I knew I wanted to start a podcast. So it was like, what was the name of a good podcast? I worked with a company called Brand Builders back in 2020 that helped entrepreneurs and business owners really work on their personal brand, and that crossed over into what it did to the business. So I was working with a brand strategist specifically for the podcast and building a platform and trying to elevate a speaking career and starting to pitch a book. So the thought was never to take Happy Even After and have it be part of the brick and mortar business. So working with her, we came up with the name together by trying to figure out what is it what people want? Why are they coming to me? And it's like the title test. It's like you want to it's like a book title too. It's like people are drawn to the thing that they actually want. And I'm like, well, they want to be happy. And if they're coming to a divorce attorney, they're not. And they thought they were getting their happy ever after. And it turns out it doesn't look like that anymore. And it's reinvented. And it was just just a session of brainstorming and spitting out different ideas and different names, and then we just hit it with Happy Even After, and that was the podcast. And probably about 6 months after I launched the podcast, I'm like, why am I not calling the firm this? Like, it seemed like it was so obvious to me. And then I thought, oh my God, I have to rename the firm, the letterhead, the signage, all the things and the expense with it. And I was just like, I just felt it in my gut. I'm like, I just have to like go in and do this and put the investment into that rebrand. And it's so funny because when I launched with it, I had two schools of people. I had some old time lawyers who were like, that's the stupidest name ever, you know, making fun of it. And then but we have clients who call and say, I call because of the name of your firm. And so you still have those people who are like, well, what kind of name is that? That's a little silly. And I just kind of sit back and laugh because I'm like, you're still, you know, you have a solo of one, and like you don't get to criticize me unless you're like actually in that arena. There's a quote about that arena, doing the work and trying to build and grow and scale. Because for me, it wasn't just a practice. This is a business. And how are we going to turn this thing into a business that's more than just me as a solo?
How difficult was it of a decision to go, instead of saying happily even after, to happy even after?
That one was pretty easy because everyone gets the you live happily ever after, like that's pretty typical. And I was thinking of it from a trademark perspective too, and did a little bit of research, and no one had used that term at that point. Like I did a deep dive on Google, and there wasn't anything out there. Now we've had some infringements on it, so I was really quick to like, okay, we can trademark happy even after. We got the trademark. Can't get the trademark for happily ever after, so similar, but I mean it was that small distinction that said that's the brand, because it's just everyone recognizes that other term, but this is just a little bit different enough for us to be able to leverage that and stand out as that independent trademarked tagline.